What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Long time no see. I've been studying languages and running my geography channel where I'm learning every country, every capital, and every flag of the world, which you can check out. It's at Seabolt versus the World. I'll leave a link in the description if that's anything that interests you. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about comprehensible input because that's kind of just become my thing recently. And I've had a lot of questions about if you're a beginner, how do you input? How would you get comprehensible input because you don't know anything? From where this year my goal was to study 1,000 hours of Japanese. I have been studying Japanese pretty intensively. It's kind of been back and forth between that and Spanish. Spanish I needed for Ecuador, worked out great because no one spoke English where we were, so that worked out really good. But I've been working on Japanese, and I thought Japanese is really, really hard to get into and to find comprehensible input just because of the difficult writing system and things like that. And then, of course, even with the grammar, it can be a little tough. So today, I'm going to touch on a couple of resources that I use. There's two main resources, but I didn't want to just make this video about two. So I'm going to mention a couple of others as well. So to the computer, let's go. Before I get into the first resource, I do want to say Satori Reader is really good. If you're an intermediate speaker, especially if you've been through like Genki 1 or 2, I think Satori Reader would be fine. You can group it by difficulty, even if you want to try it at a lower level. You can click group by difficulty right there, and then it has the easier ones up here, and then more so intermediate down here. Satori Reader is cool, and I mean, you could still probably get through a little bit of it. So if you go into the lesson here, one of the cool things about Satori Reader is that, you click on something, so kotori, which is like small bird or songbird, you click on, boom, kotori, and it tells you what it is or what it means. And I think that that's cool. You have the option with the furigana on. You can actually turn it to none towards the native reading. But of course, if you're a beginner, odds are you probably want furigana just to get used to it. And then, of course, if you are reading through and you don't know, that koe means voice or how it would be used in the sentence, which is where like, songbirds are tweeting or little birds are tweeting or singing, however you want to kind of interpret that in your head, you can click this and it'll give you, there was the tweeting of little birds. I heard the tweeting of little birds. So you can kind of get the translation. I think that this is good. I do think for beginners, it could be a little bit tough, even the easier lessons, but I do think that it can be good. And I just wanted to mention it here because I don't want this video to just be about two specific resources because those are the resources that I use. And I wanted to throw in an extra one or two here or there. But first up on the list is what I would recommend to everybody, and that is the Toki Andy website. And you're probably thinking, but as a Japanese learner, I've heard of Toki Andy, and he's the Genki guy, right? He teaches Genki. First off, why would I pay for his website? And second off, I want to immerse. That's what I want to do, is have comprehensible input. The thing with his website is you've got the beginner Japanese, the Genki 1, Genki 2, which he updates regularly. They also have immersion material. And I've been going through this to see what it was like because I knew that I know probably most of Genki 1 and I'd say a majority of Genki 2, but I wanted to go through and see what I knew. And the cool thing about his immersion is it's separated by lesson of Genki, and it goes all the way from Genki 1. He has immersion content through every level of Genki 1. And all the way, even if you click lesson 23 here, which is the last lesson of Genki 2, there's only 2, but if you look at these, you can see it's a pretty decent amount. I mean, it's like reading, an essay almost. Like, there's a lot of material there. Of course, that may seem daunting right now, but of course, as you get better and progress through, you'll be able to understand that stuff, of course. But even if you go to lesson 1, the reason I say that I recommend this specifically for comprehensible input, if you click on any of these, it's such basic stuff, and it's stuff all taken from words that you learn in Genki and the grammar context from that specific lesson. So this one right here, anata no kaban desu ka? Hi, watashi no kaban desu, right? Kaban. So you can even click here. He's got some words highlighted in green. Bag, satchel, briefcase, or right here, logo, okay, rogo. It's done. The grammatical patterns, learning the des and the ka, learning the question particle. It's all taken from that, and it's not too long. This is not going to wear you down. It's a very short dialogue here, and it's just something that you can kind of sink your teeth into and get used to. Hear these words that are used so often and these expressions that are used so often and get used to it. So if you study Genki 1, lesson 1, if you go through his Genki 1, lesson 1, and you learn a little bit of the vocab, this should be comprehensible, right? Even, I mean, it's 2-word sentence, right? Hi, so desu. It's so easy to get into versus just jumping right into native content. Now, I mean, you should still probably watch native content, but as far as comprehensible stuff and getting stuff down, I think that this is absolutely crucial. There's dialogues, and then there's also levels, right? Easy, medium, and hard. So they even kind of spice it up a little bit, and they'll give you a little bit tougher stuff, and it's a little bit longer, just to kind of test where you're at. This is actually a lot longer, but it's all that very basic stuff, and I think that this is huge for getting into stuff. Learning kanji, you've got the Furigana, his website. You can actually disable the Furigana if you want to, as you slowly get used to it, if you want to test your reading skills. And it also does the thing where it kind of over talks, so you hear the word more times, or it can. Like, if it asks a question, even the thing from earlier, right, with kaban, it's like, anata no kaban desu ka? And it's like, oh, watashi no kaban desu ka? Instead of just being like, hi, or whatever. So you get the repeats in your head so you can hear it. Very simple sentences. That way it's easier to digest. This is great for beginners, in my opinion. Next up is Comprehensible Japanese. I think this is absolutely perfect, and I think it honestly goes perfect with Toki Andy. If you've ever heard of Dreaming Spanish, it's a thing where Pablo has a whiteboard and he'll draw out what he's talking about. That way you've got an image for what's going on, and it helps you just kind of maintain that information. Now, Comprehensible Japanese does have a YouTube channel right here. As you can see, there's 150 videos on here, and it's all kinds of stuff. Complete beginner, intermediate Japanese. So it's stuff for, I mean, pretty much all levels. It's very well maintained. She uploads pretty regularly. But on the website, there is a paid version. It's $5. But the reason that I do it is because look at the amount of content. There's 269 videos on her website. So, and just to give you an example of what you're getting with that, so we're going to click Complete Beginner. And then, as you can see, there's members only and there's regular. There's stuff that's not even, members only. But let's see. So, for example, mini lesson compilation for all right, here, Comprehensible Japanese. We're going to go vending machines, right? So, click on that. Of course, here's the video, which she's talking about Japanese. I'm not going to show a lot of this video because I don't, it's paid material. But so you can click the captions here. Kore wa nan desu ka? What is this, right? Boom. Oh, what is this? Kore wa nan desu ka? And then boom, right here. It's the stuff is there. Now, you can also obviously watch it if you're trying to fully immerse in the content without subtitles or anything like that. What I'll do is I will watch them usually once without just take in everything that I can, and then I actually import the lessons into Link, and the way that I can do that is on the paid version, boom, click read transcript, and the transcripts you can actually separate however you want. You can do Furigana with spaces, kore wa nan desu ka, right? You can do with Furigana, kore wa nan desu ka, no spaces as it would naturally be written, and then of course you can go no Furigana as you get used to kanji, and so I'll copy this and I'll paste it in Link, and then at the very bottom, you've also got the downloadable audio that you can put. And now I have created a lesson that I can study from Comprehensible Japanese. And as I listen to it and I read through it and I perfect the dialogue, I can add it to a playlist, and then I can listen to that later. So my comprehensible input is now on the road with me instead of listening to Japanese music. And listen to whatever you want. So if you want to listen to Japanese music or whatever it is, what it is, do what makes you happy. But as far as getting more comprehensible input in and perfecting words and hearing words over and over and over so you get used to them and it just becomes a natural part of your being and you've absorbed it, you can listen to this because you understand it all. You've read it, you've went through it, you know what's going on, and you can do that. And of course, if you're out and about and you're like, man, I don't remember that word, come back home, look it up. And that's what slowly creates these links in your brain in order to do that. So, and I do that with comprehensible input. I also do that with Toki Andy. The lessons are obviously a little bit shorter, and you can search it by level. As you can see, 126 complete beginner lessons, 168 beginner, and 114 intermediate. So there's not a huge difference. Obviously, 114 to 168, it's different, but it's not like there's a main concentration on one and that she just completely disregards the others. It's spread out very nicely throughout. I think that this website combined with the Toki Andy website for just beginner, very nice spoken native audio, broken down into simple grammar patterns, simple structures, and things like that, I think is absolutely perfect and a great way to get into not only immersion, but comprehensible input as a complete beginner, even if you don't know any Japanese. Especially from where Toki Andy builds on Genki. So if you're going through the Genki books and you're learning with that, it's stuff that you are literally learning, just put into an immersive environment. And then, of course, with this, seeing the pictures and stuff of what's going on, it's easier to build that connection to your brain and what's happening because you're building it with pictures and images. Your brain is taking all that in and it's making those connections. I think these two are absolutely perfect. Now, I said that I didn't want to make this video exclusively about just the two, Toki Andy and Comprehensible Input, although I've become just like, as I get older in language learning, like I've really kind of discovered and understood how awesome it is to have just a couple of resources, but make use of those and make sure that you're getting all out of those instead of having 1,000 resources and probably never advancing too far into any of them because you're just scatterbrained all over the place. But I wanted to show a couple of other channels, not anything that I'm overly experienced with, but I did find a couple. There's one called Nihongo Learning. The only issue is this one doesn't look like it's updated very regularly. You know, they're 3 months ago, 7 months ago, it looks like 7 months ago, perhaps kind of accurate or kind of regular. Yeah, 8, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm not sure what happened there. Life gets in the way. You know, it is what it is. But there's a good backlog, 93 videos. There's a backlog of content. So, you know, even though they're not making new content, there's still a ton of content there for you. There's also another one called Kiraku Japanese. Not as many videos, but it may be a little bit newer, but it looks like they do keep up. There's a video 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, a month, 2 months, 3 months. So it looks like there's at least somewhat regular content if you're looking for that. And you can go through and it looks like just a different type of stuff. Yeah, guess the prefecture, which might be perfect for my love of geography. Maybe I'll learn the prefectures of Japan, but yeah, sports, motorbike accident, whatever. There's a ton of different content that you can look up. So those are just a couple of other examples of things that you can check out, and maybe you find something that you really enjoy. Okay, and that is going to be it. I just wanted to mention those couple of resources. I know that I talk a ton and I talk in circles. I hope you guys got something out of this. I really do think that if you start with Toki Andy and Comprehensible Japanese, I honestly think that if you go through the Toki Andy stuff and then supplement it with the Comprehensible Japanese, I think that it'll help tremendously because the Toki Andy is teaching you vocabulary. The Comprehensible Japanese is also teaching you vocabulary, but it's teaching you how to hear and just how to understand and recognize Japanese. It's just getting more input, and it's native Japanese input, and I personally think it's great. I have just completely switched over any language learning to pretty much strictly comprehensible input, and it has absolutely skyrocketed any kind of progression that I have. Like I said, I just got back from Ecuador, and where we were in Ecuador, no one spoke English. Obviously, myself and Shauma spoke English, and we went with a guy named David's been here, who's another YouTuber, and his cameraman, Nate. They spoke English, but as far as anyone in that environment, like if you needed to ask somebody for something or something, like, I mean, it was Spanish. There was no English spoken. So comprehensible input is absolutely the way to go. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I will be happy to answer. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.